Hello, everybody. I want to do a sound check. Let's see what we got here. Sound check. Hmm. All right, a little bit more sound. My chat is. Hello, Robin. Hello, Terry. Hello, Joe. Hello, Annie. Annie R. How's the sound now? Is it too much? Hello, Kurgis. Is it too loud now? Okay, I'm going to give everybody a minute to come in. Hopefully y'all had a super week. Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Annie. Let's see if we get both of the Annies tonight. Annie Ruler and Annie Potts. We'll be lucky. Hi, IRCX. All right. Hopefully you guys had an awesome week. I know some areas had some challenging weather. Hold on, I'm offline. Okay, hold on. My computer is offline. Maybe you can hear me on my phone. I'm not sure. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I think we're back on. All right, good. All right. Hey, Audrey Kate. Shout out to Carly Miles, Joe, Robin Latham, Iris, Audrey Kate, Steve, Kalen. It takes a good lawyer to prosecute a guilty man. Amen. A sneaky one, too. All right. I think we got our first round of people. And as I was saying, hopefully everyone had an awesome week. Maybe something good or something lucky happened, or maybe you witnessed something great happen for somebody else. And so that's a blessing. That's a blessing. All right. It's a blessing to be able to come together in good spirits and discuss anything. And so I appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming out. Thank you. I'm going to start loading my screen. And let's see how long that takes. All right. Good to see everybody in good health and ready to go. Thank you. All right, the first thing we need to cover tonight, I forgot to put the my donation page up. I don't know how many browsers I have open here. Hold on just 1 second. Everybody should know that that the donation page is on the community page has the donation information. But I'll try to find it right quick just in case, because I usually put it in there and I forgot. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is the survey. Quickly, I wanted to share the results and see what we think about that one, because this is how you feel. We had, let's see, 261 votes. Yahoo! 261 votes. I think that's a record for our surveys. All right. Out of the 261, the majority of the voters said, how did Brian Kohberger become a suspect? 61% said somebody called law enforcement and gave his name. And I think the reason why everybody's saying that, hello, Devil Doll. Welcome. Stephanie Elazar in the house. All right. Hey, Stephanie. We're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to have a good time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you haven't had a chance to vote in the poll, please do. I think a lot of people's opinions changed towards this after we discovered that it's never going to be completely clear how they ID'd him. I think that's from the information that's been released in the past 30 to 40 days. Opinions are shaped around that. Now let's look at the least popular response. The least popular response was his car was discovered on November the 25th. That means a lot of people don't believe the story about the two WSU officers grabbing him up or seeing his car 1 o'clock in the morning. All right, hey, a lot of people are becoming skeptical that we're arguing us down. Hey, Carly. Shout out to Carly. Joe, Devil Doll, Robin, Stephanie. Hello, hello, hello. Now, nobody believes the WSU police anymore. And that's very interesting because guess what? I don't believe it either for several reasons that I've gone over in my videos. But I would like to remind everybody that you can always go back. You can always go back and rewatch something or look at one you missed and get my perspective on some things if you're just joining or something. Okay, I reposted the donation stuff on the community page, and I'll put it here in the chat for anybody that's interested in donating through Cash App or PayPal. I think the PayPal link works. All right, now let's see. Let's get on with our first order of business because I have a lot of ground to cover, and I want to make sure I can keep loading stuff on here like I was earlier without these crazy things happening. And so tonight I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. A lot of questions. It's going to be question and answer to the end. And my first question, I don't want anybody to say I'm victim shaming, I don't want anybody to say, oh, hard truth, you don't have any sympathy for the victims. Yes, I do. My heart goes out to the victims and their families. Okay, 50% of the reason why I'm still doing this is because I want them to catch the right person or people. Okay, it's not enough that somebody's in custody that may have done it. I want to know who did it, and I want to see justice served. I do. All right, and then somebody was saying something about um, playing the question and answer on Kahoot as if it was some type of game show. This is not a game, okay? Having a question and answer is a way to memorialize the Idaho 4s. As far as I'm concerned, I think they should make an Idaho 4 game, sell it, and give all the proceeds to the family. To the families. I'm sure they can use it, okay? That's better than a GoFundMe. They'll get royalties from the game from here to eternity. I think. Shout out to Alice there. Hello. Oh, we got Miss Potts. All right. Shout out to Alice there and Miss Potts. Let's get these started. Let's get these shout outs started. So we can show some love to each other. All right. This question here is not going to be a nice one, but we're all adults in here, hopefully. If you're under 18, you shouldn't be in here. Now, listen. I think I had another thing to put on top of that picture. I do. Now, here's the second part. There's two parts to this. I'm going to read this that came from the latest document regarding Kaylee's Tinder data. And so I'm going to put my first question in the chat. My first question for this evening is, was Kaylee pregnant? That's my first question. That's my first question, and I'm going to give you my premise. Was Kaylee G pregnant? Now, in the document, it said, the next day after getting back data on Ms. Goncalves' account on the Tinder dating app, detectives asked for details on 19 specific account holders, including their locations, credit card information, and any private images, pictures, or videos associated with the accounts. 19 different accounts from Tinder. Okay? Let me chew on that for a minute. Carly said, I disagree about the game. This would normalize the situation in court. That's true. I can agree with that. Shout out to Carly. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because which would be better for the family, worrying about what it could suggest, to the darker side, which I don't think they need any prompting for the low-down, pretty much sick things they do, or providing a lifetime stream of income for the family, or the victims' families. I don't know, that's a very sensitive subject, because it's not like I don't understand what you all are saying. Okay, I understand it's sensitive, but it's not to well, how can I say this? Annie Ruler, insinuating she had paid to see. Oh my goodness. I am insinuating that not only from her Tinder date account where she was meeting people, but even people that live right there in Moscow that could be on law enforcement. If Kaylee was pregnant, it could have been from somebody she met on the app, or it could have been somebody in law enforcement. It could have been somebody, at least we would have a motive, because either the person didn't want Kaylee to have the baby if she was pregnant, and all this is just speculation. It's just a wild card, a Hail Mary. Okay, it's not something I'm trying to endorse as clickbait or to say that I've discovered that she was, because I have no idea if she was or not. But I have reasons for saying this. Number one, it seems like Kaylee was drawn to Moscow for that night. Number two, Kaylee was very preoccupied on her phone. She had a lot going in her mind from the corner club until she was discovered. She had a lot going in her mind. Number three, Kaylee was she had gained weight. Kaylee was really probably at the biggest size she ever was in her life just before her death. So I believe that Kaylee could have been pregnant. And like I said, this picture with the policeman, that could have been a baby bump. I mean, from what she's got on at the grub truck, you can't tell. If somebody wanted to hide the fact that they had a stomach, that's something that they would wear and have their hands in the front of it. I'm just saying, it's possible that Kaylee was pregnant. She's overweight at the grub truck. Can we at least... I'm just saying. Dan Plemmett. Welcome, Dan. Shout out to Dan P. I'm just saying, it's possible. Why wouldn't it be? Because she's... the main reason I said is Kaylee is overweight. Not necessarily overweight, but she weighed more at the grub truck than most of those pictures. It's the truth. She could have had a little bundle coming, and then whoever it was didn't want the baby, or whoever it was didn't want her to leave with the baby, any end of the spectrum. It could be either end of the spectrum. They could have said, oh, she's not leaving and taking my baby to Texas or wherever her job was. Or on the other end, they could have said, oh, no, you're not going to get to Texas and then put me on child support. That's, it could have been either one of those. It couldn't have, it could have been a lot of motives surrounding being pregnant, right? Because to me, she looks like she is. It looks to me like she is. That's what I'm saying. All right, we got Self-Aware B. Shout out to Self-Aware. I didn't see you come in. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so what I'm telling you is it's possible, and that would be a motive for anybody, whether it's law enforcement or a civilian. That would be a motive for anybody. And then it would beg the question that, maybe everybody in the house disrespected the person that did it. And they said, I'm coming in and everybody's got to go. Carly Miles, looks like she already had the baby to me. Possible. Anything is possible. It said, ICX said, if she looked smaller in pics after this video, then she probably wasn't, in my opinion. That's true. Did she look smaller in pics after this video? Because this was the grub truck. She passed away hours later. Those pictures of her, that picture of her with her hands in her sweatshirt, that's the last size for Kaylee. Or maybe she didn't want the baby and someone didn't want her to do such a thing and possibly hated her for it. Shout out to Stephanie. Stephanie, you stepped in the door. Shout out to Stephanie. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you the first brain. That's a whole can of motive. If Kaylee was pregnant, that's a whole can of motive. The father may not have wanted it. The father may have wanted it, but she didn't. And she may have already went and took care of it. Or the father may have wanted it and didn't want her to leave. Didn't want her to leave Idaho with it. Alice there, I just think there was a problem in the house. All right. Well, that is an angle that we've talked about. Well, when did the problem jump off? Was this a premeditated uh, massacre, or did it just jump off and then everybody else? Is that why she left the sorority, being pleasures would do it? Yes, yes. That's some BS, Jennifer. Why don't they? Jennifer S. They still don't have autopsies either. Shout out to Jennifer and Robin. Shout out to both of you. Now, I'm telling you, it's a possibility. That might be why she moved out. That might be why she moved out. That might be why she moved out. We don't know what happened between the time she moved out and the time she came back there. You know, maybe she went to a clinic. And you know what broke loose. Maybe so. Annie Ruler, she did not appear drunk. She did not appear drunk to me in any of the pictures except this one all the way to the left. She's standing very awkwardly and she's showing something, but right there it doesn't seem like she's really in control of her stature, or however you would say it. And that's not necessarily to say that she was intoxicated. I'm just saying that's the only one that I would look at and say maybe she's been drinking. Justice will be served one way or the other. Shout out to AF. Welcome, AF. Good to see you. Good to see you. Shout out. Shout out. Okay, we're talking about, for those has to pee to me. Yeah. Shout out to Annie Ruler. Said it looks like she's got to go to the ladies' room. That's true. It does, doesn't it? All right, so let's see what's going on here. We're going to put a pin in it, but this is something we're going to be talking about in the next upcoming videos this weekend. All right, so make sure you look for it. Oh, Joanne in the house. We got Joanne. Shout out to Joe and Joanne. Good to see you. Great to see you. Welcome. All right, so where are we? Defense has not received them yet, Joe, which is ridiculous. Okay, now, before it leaves my mind, somebody was saying something about that. Who's talking about that? AF? Because in the document, Ann Taylor was saying that one of the officers attended the autopsy. That's who she wanted records on. And then she wanted the person that, that interviewed Dylan, or interviewed one of the girls. Okay, in the document she was saying, one of the officers, when she was listening to officers she wanted records, she was saying, hey, one of them attended the autopsy. One of them, interviewed multiple times. We need to know about these people. Okay, that was a very valid point to me. Okay, and so when they start releasing some of this footage, it's gonna, the real fireworks are gonna jump off July the 14th. I understand July the 4th is Independence Day in the United States, but it's really gonna jump off on the 14th. We might need to keep our flags and our paper plates and napkins with red, white, and blue. Save those for the 14th. Okay, cook out on the 14th, because it's gonna be nasty. All right, and I really am looking forward to them releasing some more information that can be proven, because that's what's going to help us get through this process a lot better. stuff that's proven, not stuff people are calling in telling us that's unverified, whether it's from somebody on the street or somebody in mass media. Either way, if we can't prove it, we don't want it on the list. All right, so let's see. Where are we? The second question I have for you is this one. Let me change my pic. Okay, I'm going to show you a little clip that I pre-recorded for this, and then I'll come back on afterwards. I think it's just a few seconds, but this is the question. I'll give you the question first. In the chat, this is question number 2. I'm going to start numbering them. Question number 2 is this. All right. Here's question number 2. Why did Othram have to pass the DNA to the FBI? Remember, it left Idaho, got to Texas to Othram, then went from Othram to the FBI. Now I want you to watch this right quick. I just made it. Let me put this up here and turn the volume on. This is the Othram website. All right, let's see. This is the Othram website. They received the DNA from the sheaf, or supposedly looking for the DNA on the sheaf. Here it is. And so let's look at the technology first. Forensic grade genome sequencing, rapid familial relationship testing, DNA solves genetic database. Okay, I feel like they had enough technology here to identify the person who the DNA on the sheep belonged to without passing it to the FBI. That's very suspect that Othram received a DNA sample from Idaho State Lab for identification, and it still was passed on to the FBI. Okay, let's look down here at casework, recent casework. And if you scroll down here, there's no mention of the Idaho 4 case or Brian Kohberger. This is the recent case files. Okay, I don't see anything about the Idaho 4. I think this is going back further and further in time. Okay, so it's not here. We can just conclude that whatever happened with the DNA sampling at Othram in Texas did not yield a match and didn't yield an identification for Brian Kohberger, and it certainly didn't match him to anybody, any DNA from the trash or whatever. It's no mention of it here. No mention of the case whatsoever. All right, so they weren't the ones, they did not ID the DNA. It was passed on to the FBI, and I'm wondering why they didn't come I did. They're specialized in doing this. So why didn't they ID the DNA? Why was it passed on to yet another agency for further analysis beyond this place? They specialized in this, right? So why was it passed on to FBI, who used some very unofficial methods to to find the culprit or identify the DNA? It went from a specialized DNA lab to somebody in the FBI looking on Ancestry.com. That's crazy. All right, so it's very suspicious that Othram, well, it's not suspicious to me. What I feel happened was Othram is not willing to come to court and testify that they identified that DNA as belonging to Brian Kohberger. Okay, it was passed to the FBI, who are also not coming to court and testify they ID Brian Kohberger. The only specialist that will come to court is the Idaho State Lab, because they're claiming that it started at Idaho State Lab and the discovery ended at Idaho State Lab conveniently, so they won't need Othram or FBI to testify in court. Somebody from Idaho State Lab will do it. Okay, so maybe finally they found somebody because the initial testing yielded nothing. Okay, so what do you think about that little clip? Because the DNA evidence seems to be plaguing us right now. It's supposed to be the bombshell that's clearing everything up. Shout out to Micah Z. Hey, Micah. Shout out to Micah. Good to see you. All right. Now, I'm just wondering, one thing I think this proves is that Harold Bloom was right. They didn't have anything at all when they first tested it in Idaho. And so that leads to the next big problem, which I'm getting ready to present. Let me change my screen. Because, you know, it's getting to the point where some of this stuff is going to have to be more than redacted. Okay, I found it. It says here, to do the genealogical analysis, the Idaho State Police contracted with a private company, Othram, in Texas, which had a lab able to produce a more extensive DNA profile from the knife sheath than the state lab was set up to examine. So Othram was more sophisticated. And so why on earth would it have to go from Othram to the FBI? If they could do more extensive, this is all they do. This is all they do. Let's see. I see the chat moving. They're just so sure they have the right guy. Defense is going to find out how they got there and do the same tests on the other 3 male DNA found. Shout out to AF. Shout out to AF. Great thinking on your feet. I'm really trying to think of one thing that makes sense in this case, and I'm struggling. Shout out to Robin and a 100. Because guess what? I feel the same way. The more you try to accept some of what they say, here comes something else that's not lining up, and then you're right back to square one. You can't trust it. I'm not gang-ho about finding Brian Kohberger guilty or innocent. I just want him to have the right person. If it's him, he deserves exactly what is down the road. You know, that's 4 children that were taken away from their parents for what? Absolutely no justification in the world. So I just want to make that clear because some people think this is a pro Kohberger channel. This is a pro-justice, pro-hard truth channel. We want the truth. And I honestly don't feel they can prove Brian Kohberger was ever in that house. But that's not to say he wasn't in Moscow. And that's not to say he wasn't on that street. But I just don't see how, if they have to say that his DNA was on a sheath, something that came from somewhere else, that lets you know his DNA is nowhere else in that house. And so how could he have been in there? And his DNA is not in there. The defense attorney, Ann Taylor, said there's no connection. That's why I made the video, Bethany Funk, and my video, Kohberger and Bethany is fantasy. I told you that months ago. People kept trying to put Brian Kohberger and Bethany together. We can profile him enough to know that this guy is mature for his age. Anybody that's on their 3rd degree at 28 is mature mentally. Anybody that knows exactly, the direction they want to take in life, and they start going to college, and they end up on their 3rd degree in grad school at 28. Okay, I made it to grad school, but I'm not 28. I promise you I'm not 28. So he's mature. I don't see him running around with these 20 and 21-year-olds. That's not him. That's the wrong guy. Because they're just not his speed. Okay? None of the women at 1122 King Road were old enough, fast enough, mature enough to date Brian Kohberger. If anything, if he went on Tinder or whatever, I would expect a guy like that to choose somebody that's older than him, or to marry somebody that's older than him. That's what I would expect from a guy that's in grad school at 28. I would be looking for him to be, to have a crush on his professor that's 20 years older than him. That's what I would expect from somebody like that. That's completely mental. So to try to put him with some 20 and 21-year-olds, unless they had some kind of connection to the drug world and had some money, I couldn't see it. Only person out of that group that I could see Brian Kohberger dating is Cara Canoto, because she was fast enough to run the street with somebody that was using heroin in Pennsylvania. And I'm not going to go back and repeat myself a lot from other lives and stuff we've had, but if I already gave my opinion, that if I had to profile Brian Kohberger from what I know about him, not only was he in grad school, he was the TA. So at 28, this guy was focused enough with the way he carried himself and his academic performance to not only get over there to WSU in the criminology grad school. I'm sure that's competitive discipline. A lot of people want to be in criminology. And then to be the TA on top of it, and he's across the country away from his family trying to make it happen, applying to the police department, trying to really push his agenda, to his career. That's what we see. It's not speculation. This is how this guy is. We can't deny that. No matter how much you don't like him, that's what it is. And so try to put him with some 20 and 21-year-olds that probably really don't have a clue what they want to even be in life too much, except for maybe Kaylee. It just doesn't match up to me. All right, I see in here it says chat revenue $10. I have no idea. Okay, AF $10. Send some love. Justice will be served. They got a face. JC. Okay, shout out to AF with much love because I missed that, but I saw here and I went back. All right, so much love to you, AF. Thank you for the $10 sticker. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I'm moving a little slow, but I'm getting into my rhythm. Much love to AF for the $10 sticker. Yahoo! All right, AF. Now, where were we before I went off on my tangent about Brian's type of girl? Okay, I think she was snapping a picture of Jack S. I believe the grub truck audio is from Friday night. Go back and listen, and the cashier says it's not that busy for a Friday night. Shout out to Joanne. We're going to have to check that out. We're going to have to check that out, because this is something we really need to know about. Really, really need to know about. All right. Patricia, yes, I believe the grub truck. You leaving us hard, Truth. That sounds like goodbye words. Going to miss you. What? Rusty. Shout out to Rusty. Hey, Rusty. What you been doing, Rusty? Okay. Miss Potts, Jennifer S., really, Joanne? Robin, you giving us HELL tonight. We can't get anything past the goalie. You leaving us sacred, scared to death. They know who they are, scared to death. They're getting their punishment right now because justice is coming. AF. True, agree, 100% agree. She's not going anywhere, Rusty. Thanks, Robin. It kind of sounded like she was going to head out for the night. Okay, well, we know that Kaylee had a lot going on in her life. All right, Kaylee had a lot going on. She broke up with her boyfriend. She moved out of the apartment. She's back the night of the murders, taking pictures with all of them, like in a farewell. I think the conditions for her coming back were more than just showing her truck. I believe she was supposed to attend something with Dylan. I'm not sure that's been verified or not, but I'm just saying Kaylee had a lot going on. Okay, and if they subpoenaed 14 different Tinder accounts, she had a lot going on. I'm just saying, I don't have a Tinder account, never had one, but you know, the younger people, they love that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people, the single, do have one or whatever. A lot of married people have Tinder. I mean, I think that's the purpose of it. But anyway, that's another video. So I'm just saying she had a lot going on. Joint custody of a dog, and the dog survived. I mean, this thing is screaming Kaylee in a lot of ways. It's almost like we've been through each one of these victims, each one of these kids, you know, much love to them all. And I end up keep coming back to Kaylee. Mr. G was right. They didn't have to go upstairs. And she wasn't supposed to be there as far as being a tenant. Okay, it just happened to be when she's getting ready to leave and close a chapter of her life and go on to bigger and better things. And she looks like she could be carrying. It just seems like they could have been having a kid, is what I'm saying. It looks like she could have been with child. It's speculation. Don't go back and say Hard Truth said Kaylee G is with child. Don't do that. I said it looks like she could have been, especially at the grub truck. Okay, she had her weight up on that picture, and she was getting food, and we know as pregnant women, we must eat. Okay, about 13 times a day. So who was stopping at the truck? Maybe they weren't gonna share it. Maybe it was for Kaylee because Kaylee was hungry, because Kaylee was what? I almost deserve a brain for that, and y'all know it. But I need to perfect that theory first. Okay, listen to what I said. They only got one macaroni and cheese, right? The carbonara. So maybe that wasn't to share. It was really for Kaylee. Huh? Who left that DNA? Shout out to Joanne. Joanne said she left her DNA. We might have to turn you in, Joanne. Turn yourself in. Turn yourself in, Joanne. What question are we on? All right? Because Othram found another person's DNA and not Brian, so FBI says, wait a minute, we'll make it fit for Kohberger. That was Joanne again, shot Joanne, and even so, or they didn't find anything at all until that time. You know? Howard Bloom said they found nothing at Idaho State Lab. Not that they found male DNA they couldn't identify that didn't match coders, that they found nothing. Now that brings me to my next point, because this is a little contradictory. Okay, let me move this, because this is a little contradictory, and I'm going to show you why. I hope I can find my little paper. All right, looky here. This is a bombshell right here. This is a bombshell that we really don't even realize is a bombshell. Listen to this. While this was ongoing, police were investigating many various possible suspects. Many of them provided DNA. At least one had his DNA surreptitiously taken from a discarded cigarette. Many also had their phones taken and downloaded. Okay, so why are they sneaking around taking people's DNA if it's perfectly natural for those 3 DNAs to be in the house? That's question number 3. That's question number 3A. All right? That's 3A. Why did it post? Why sneak and take DNA around town if the 3 male DNA is no big deal? They found 2 in the house, they said, and 1 in a glove. What are you going around sneaking, taking people's DNA for? If those kids naturally should have been, in the house anyway, partying. And then did you send that to the lab? Okay? Why sneak and take DNA around town if and then 3B? That's 3A. This is 3B. If that's the case, why didn't you do it for Kohberger? Why didn't you take his DNA while he was in Washington, since you know how to do it? Okay? That's 3A and 3B. Question 3A is, why are they sneaking around town checking people's DNA? I know Jack Showalter, I think, is one of the DNA, but I thought I heard Mr. G say that he did not give his DNA. I thought I heard Mr. G say that Jack Showalter never gave his DNA. I could be wrong. But I do believe I heard him say that. Now, what y'all think about that? Stephanie gave me a brain. Shout out to Stephanie. I sure appreciate it. Got me some brains. Y'all know I did it with that macaroni and cheese. Mac and cheese did it. That's what did it. That might have been for Kaylee. Kaylee was hungry. I forgot, it doesn't matter now. I guess Micah. Okay, Micah, what y'all talking about? Okay. Yeah, if you look at it on Google Earth, it looks like it was there before those apartments. And the property looks like it really faces Queen, but I think the lot was originally drawn to face King. Shout out to Robin. Yep, agreed. Yeah, that's really a wreck that that area, the way the streets are named and arranged, it's crazy. Yes, Brian does not fit the description DM gave. He is not athletic build. Shout out to Micah. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say his eyebrows aren't that bushy. I guess it's just a matter of opinion. Okay, because I just don't understand how she was so conscious to take all that in. But then when it's time to call 911, it's an unconscious person. How can you give this big detailed description of this person with eyebrows and how he was built, but then when it's time to call 911, you're talking about an unconscious person. You can't describe them. Somebody that's not moving, they're right there for you to see. The person moving out the door, I can understand you being off a little bit. That's the one you shouldn't be sure what you saw because he was moving out. But here we're asking you about who needs help on the 911 call, somebody that's not moving, and you got that wrong. How is that? How is that? Grant, sir, in the house. Shout out to Grant. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you, Grant. How is that? How does that work? She can identify somebody walking past her in the dark, but when it's time to call 911, all we got was a subconscious, unconscious person. What's up? What brand of cigarettes? No, I feel like JS left in fear. Yeah. The grub truck behavior alone is suspect as heck. Yep. Jack D was most suspect, then forgotten about after they wrongly arrested Brian. Shout out to Q's Bill. Okay, shout out to Q's Bill. Welcome. Oh, I see a lot of new faces. So glad to see you on a Thursday night. This is our Thursday night thing. Welcome, Q's Bill. Jack D was most suspect and forgotten about after they wrongly arrested Brian. He was forgotten about. I believe both of the Jacks are connected to this, not necessarily did it, but have knowledge. I believe they're tied into it some kind of way. His parents give a lot of money to the university, Kathy Jean. Exactly. Shout out to Kathy Jean. Y'all are on fire tonight. Yeah. Y'all are on fire. This is some good stuff that I'm hearing. Yeah. Right. If a few students did this and their parents have money, you better believe this is one hell of a big cover-up. And even if a law enforcement was involved, which I get that feeling, we know this is one big cover-up. Shout out to Micah. It is what it is. Preach. Preach, Micah. That's right. Now, we had a lot of things that came into play to where people are shouting cover up. Now, a lot of people are shouting cover up. A lot of people that were saying it is Brian Kohberger are now saying cover up. A lot of people are saying that because one thing we have to realize is what? If the police are covering something up, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were the ones that committed the crime. It just means, it could mean they don't have a clue who did it and they're just trying to say that it's solved. So we can have a cover up totally separate from who actually did it. And that, I think that's where the confusion is coming in. That's where it's coming in. We can have the police on the one hand covering up and trying to frame somebody just to say the case is closed. They don't necessarily have to have a motive besides not wanting the university to be in the clutch. That can be the case, and then still over here we have the ones that did it. The fact that they were wanting to tear that house down so bad makes me believe cover up. True, true. Moscow and U of I want somebody to go down for this so they can get back to normal. True, true. Shout out to Q's and Micah. True, true. Get back to normal and make sure the kids that left around Thanksgiving come back. Because I heard somebody saying, oh, this is a government-funded school. It didn't affect them financially when this happened because the government is still going to give them the grants. Do you think the school is financially supported by just government grants? You don't think the alumni for that university and the kids that can't get financial aid to have to pay are, you don't think that you think that's the only revenue that a state school gets is what the government gives them? Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow. Carly, I researched them and they both submitted confidential affidavits that are listed as anonymous, then got their charges dropped without prejudice. That leaves something open for the state to charge them again if they mess up. Oh, shout out to Robin. I think that's the update on Emma and the guy. What's his name? Darius, Demetrius, or something. Yeah, that's the update on him and the girl Emma. All right, we got a new member, another one, Q's Bill. Y'all give a warm welcome to Q's Bill. I knew you were coming in. Anybody named Q's Bill belongs with the hard truth. Shout out and welcome. Yay. Come on, y'all. Help me welcome Q's Bill. All right, all right, all right. We got a new member. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. I think they informed on dealer higher up than them. It's interesting that huge bust in Washington was 1 week later. Huge bust in Washington. What you mean by that, Robin? I'm not sure. Huh? I'm not sure what you mean by that one. Huh? Brian uncovered something shady. It was going on with the police department in Lauren Wilhelm. All right. Did I see anybody else welcome Q's Bill? I was kind of still waiting for that. Okay, Laurie. Shout out to Laurie Wilhelm. I was still waiting for some more welcomes for Q's Bill. And for Terry Butler, if you haven't, as of yet. Giving a warm welcome to Terry Butler and Q's Bill. We got to add them to our star video. All right. Welcome, Laurie, Micah. Pray for discernment because if something's not make sense, it's complete BS. Yeah, look at WSU cop accused of sexual assault. Let's go there. Shout out to Jennifer S. I wasn't going to go there, but I think we need to. Because I didn't even know about this guy. I was looking for something else. And I ran into him, and I was like, why don't we know about him? I mean, we know he'll sleep with the students. We know he has a sexual problem. And didn't Papa Roger say that the crime was sexually motivated regardless of what the reports say? Isn't that what he said? Huh? Isn't that what he said? Yep. Okay, let me find him. I hope I didn't toss it out. This is part 2. All right, here's part 2. At least I can read that because I'm not sure what I did with the picture. All right, here's the article about Sergeant Matt, and I think his name is KUHRST or ST or something like that. Oh, that's part 2. I may have thrown away the part 1. I may have thrown it away. I'm sorry. But I do have the article, Jennifer. Thank you. All right. The article says a university investigation ultimately found that Kurt engaged in predatory grooming behavior while in a supervisory role and engaged in sexual activities while on duty and on university property. The investigation also found he made sexually explicit comments to co-workers and made physical contact with co-workers without consent. He had a problem, okay? He had a problem. For him to be doing all of this, and he's a sergeant. He's a sergeant. Huh? That's crazy. Okay, Kurt's resignation comes approximately 3 months after Police Chief Bill Gardner and Captain Mark Larson announced their retirement after being served notice in late July pending disciplinary action. Okay, you know he put in his resignation. I mean, he put something in on November the 1st, and everything was finalized, I believe, on November the 4th. So all this happened 9 days before the Idaho 4 case. November the 4th is when it finally shut down. It says a WSU police officer notified the WSU Police Department command staff, so another cop snitched on this cop. A WSU cop snitched on the sergeant. It wasn't even people at the school or victims that reported him. Somebody in his own department snitched on him. All right? And then when they snitched, it was third-hand information. It says a WSU police officer notified the WSU Police Department command staff of third-hand allegations against the sergeant back in December 2020, according to the press release. Okay, this is the press release. This is what the police said happened. So a WSU officer snitched on another one, and once he was fired or resigned, one or the other, same thing, then this is when Don Daniels and another police officer took over. All right? Those kids constantly took selfies with big knives, and it hasn't even been said yet if it was a K-bar knife. Shout out to Debbie Henderson. You're right. We have no idea what the murder weapon was or how many it was. Just because there was a sheep somewhere on a bed that has nothing to do with what those kids were assaulted with. It's not an indication of anything other than the fact that the killer wanted to leave a calling card. That's all that means. Because those kids could have been, the murder weapon could have been anything with a sharp edge. All right? Shout out to Debbie H. Sorry, I'm tipsy tonight. Who is tipsy? Oh, Gina. Sorry, I'm tipsy tonight. My son is shooting a professional pyrotechnic show. I'll be incoherent all night. Shout out to Gina. Gina said she tipsy and she gonna be like that all night long, Marianne. You go do your thing, Gina. Do your thing. All right, then. When you're hot, you're hot. All right. So she taking one for the team tonight. Jenny said she gonna just take it for everybody. Now let's see what I missed up here. All right. Thank you for welcoming everyone. Laurie, AF, thank you all for welcoming. Jack might have been the person to let everyone know they were on their way home. True. Shout out to Micah because he could have been saying, hey, they just left the club. It's just something about how Jack D was looking at the corner club when they were talking to him. It's like he was, it just seemed like he was detached and just really not in sync with the girls. I don't want to say standoffish, or I don't know what the right word is, so I'll come back to that. Okay, but what were we saying? Oh, I was talking about the sergeant. The sergeant, the informant officer, the informant officer received information from a third party who initially advised of possible non-consensual sexual activity, which is what we call rape. However, the person later contacted the officer to clarify that it had been consensual, but said it happened while he was on his shift. Now, why wasn't he a suspect? What kind of car does he drive? He could have been mad. He could have been mad about his job. We know that he has much looser boundaries when it comes to sex on the job and that type of thing, right? Huh? We know that this officer would fit the profile of somebody that doesn't have a lot of self-control. So if they got really upset or they really wanted to engage with a, in some sexual act, they would do it. They would do it. All right, it's hard to say who was actually intoxicated, but it's possible that all of them were. All right, Robin Latham. Yeah, but how can JW give the heads up and still be involved? He couldn't be working both sides, Michael. Right. Miss Potts, Predator. Right. Shout out to Miss Potts. Good to see you. Always giving us something hot and something straight to think about. Shout out to Miss Potts. Okay, let's see what we have here. I forgot about this guy. I thought we were talking about Hargraves. Correct, I was mistaken. I thought it was a week after it was before, and that was Jennifer S. It was a week, 9 days before. The latest press release that I saw or article was gave the date as November the 4th, being the last one. All right. Hi there, Grant. Shout out to Grant. Hello to you. Those kids constantly took selfies. We did that. We know Gina is tipsy. And Robin, he may have been with the girls, but he may have played a role getting the girls home safe, but yet they ditched him. Micah Z. Shout out to Micah. Right. Carly Miles. Maybe the snitch was from BK to about Kurtz. Could be. Give Carly a brain for that. They're on the same campus, and one of them definitely is out of control. And he got fired before Brian did. All right? He might have been somebody that Brian knew. Shout out to Carly. All right? Too many holes in this case and not enough evidence to fill them up. Shout out to Debbie H. Great comment. A lot of holes, a lot of holes. But some of them have been filled up. Some of them have been filled up, and people have seems like they readjusted their, perspective based on the new information. I know I have, because this guy, I didn't even know about him, the sergeant, because nobody's really looking at WSU. Just everybody's looking in Moscow. The only things that we were thinking about in WSU was Kopaka and Brian Kohberger. That's not all that was going on in WSU. And then that same day, okay, somebody was destroying property from 7 a.m. on the 13th to 7 a.m. on the 14th. I'm going to put that in the chat. From 7 a.m. November the 13th to 7 a.m. November the 14th, somebody was destroying property at WSU. Now, 7 o'clock a.m., somebody could have just made it back to Pullman, and they're burning everything. All right, Miss Potts, does Eric Grover, the private driver, know Officer Rosendahl and Officer Tesdahl at Manfield that night? Did he alert when he dropped the girls off? Shout out to Miss Potts. All right, that's a good question. That's a great question, because he's definitely suspect, the driver. No, she was not at Robin. Sleuthy 8, you still here? All right. Okay, Sleuthy is in the house, is she? Sherry, so much I haven't heard. All right, shout out to Sherry. It's Sleuthy in. I hate if she's in here and I missed it. Q's bill, there were strange Venmo payments going on in the middle of the night, which may indicate substances involved. Shout out to Q's bill. All right, he said money was changed. I think Kaylee bought Ethan something, right? I believe I think Kaylee gave Ethan money like once or twice, and then Kaylee said, yup. Y'all remember that? So he said maybe this money was passed in hands for that reason. When you think about it, that's really a good point right there. Girls were dropped off right before 2 a.m. By 2:45, Rosendahl and Tesdahl are blocking the entrance off Taylor to King and chasing people down to prevent them from entering the neighborhood, in my opinion. Miss Potts, I'm going to give you a brain for that. I knew it wasn't going to be long. Shout out to Miss Potts, because so much was going on right there at that entrance, wasn't it? We saw 4 people running. One of them had a white package in his hand. We got people stopped in the field for drinking. We got lights blinking in the background that could be coming from the house. We had so much going on in that area, and then we got people turning in and turning out and passing by. We had so much of that. I don't know. Miss Potts, they sure did, to keep them stay put for 45 minutes for a beer. Crazy. Shout out to Amra, because you right on it. That's exactly why she got a brain. Because when you think about it, he was what we call cop blocking at the entrance. His car was right there on the corner. Right there on the corner. And then he made sure he took him over there. That's right. So that was the longest stop I've ever seen for underage drinking. All right, shout out to Debbie. I mean, underage drinking on the weekend on a college campus. I mean, isn't that what college is all about? Isn't that what college, university life is all about in the first place? Being able to walk around 3 o'clock in the morning with beer. Isn't that what it's all about? Shout out to Carly Miles. The black truck was ignored. Shout out to Carly. That's right. Hard truth, because they knew that they would be able to hide results from defense, in my opinion. Shout out to Renee Phillips. All right. Renee is in the high. That's right. That's right. All right, Renee. Notice Rosendahl left the 4 in the back. Keep going while he stopped the others. We like you too, Q's. Shout out to Audrey. That's right. We do. All right, now, let's see. Exactly, Audrey. I was just going to make a smart remark. I'm glad you said something. Okay, Robin is going to give somebody a break. Can we believe it? Do we believe it? Do we have to see it first? Do we have to see it first? Tam R, it was absurd. Was one of these officers that Rosenthal dude? I think that's what she was saying. The hybrid cars that they said they didn't have. Yep. Shout out to Tam and Jennifer. Okay, so open minds for this channel for sure. Oh yes, that's what we do. Everybody's perspective is welcome. Okay, if you believe Brian Kohberger did it, good. Bring your evidence and lay it on the table so we can talk about it and compare it. Mick Winborn in the house. Shout out to Mick Winborn. All right, Mick. Yeah, good to see you. No matter what 18 to 20-year-olds think college is about learning, not drinking. Well, I was being facetious, Mick. Of course, they shouldn't be thinking that college, the reason for going to college is to be able to walk around with a beer. But I'm just saying, some of these college kids, they don't even go to bed on the weekends. 3 o'clock in the morning, some of them just getting started. Some of them get started Friday night, and they don't even really come to reality until when? The next Sunday? A lot of drinking. And so, I mean, I'm just saying. Oh, Miss Potts, much love to you. You have to go now? Or, let's see. Much love. Thank you. Thank you so much for being able to make some of it. All right, Peanuts. Aha! That's right, Renee. Renee Phillips. Shout out to Renee. That's right. Peanuts, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, PA. The Pen. That's right. I got you, Renee. They were at the grub truck. Everyone headed to King Road. Seems like it, doesn't it? Seems like it. Undercover cops. All right. I'm still under the impression there's tunnels under that house is why they want to take it down so bad. Well, the president used to live in that house. Shout out to Laura. I want to show you all my next point. All right. Shout out to Laura for bringing up the house, because we know the president used to live there. Now, that's not creepy. If that's not creepy, I don't know what creepy is. For these kids to have lost their lives in that house, and then to find out the president of the university grew up in the house. Now, come on now. Please leave a friend's or your touch DNA on the like button. Shout out, Audrey. That was super cute. Wow. All right. What great moderators. You guys got it going. Oh, just Amber in the house. I know, right? That was so weird. Shout out to Just Amber. I see you. Shout out to Just Amber and Nick. Together. Yep. That's what it is. That's what it is. All right. The first floor was an add-on. Yes. Yes, we have, let's see. Let me take this off because we still got a couple things to talk about. I'm going to take this sergeant thing down and put up my next point. All right. Where is my next point? Okay, I think maybe this might be it. Now, I want to know, first of all, does anybody have any facts surrounding this door? I've been through a lot of speculation, but I've looked and it's true. It was like this. All right, here's the next question. What are we on, number 4? Okay, was the back sliding glass door broken? Because it's broken on the pictures. Well, I love you too, Laura Smith. What a precious, precious post. Well, I love you too, precious. Much love, Laura. Okay. Just Amber, it was, from what I understand, the dude took the picture with his private phone, not even with his work phone. All right, now, let me find my screen. The question was this door broken like this? And were those stools behind the door? Let's get this straight, because I'm hearing different accounts about the door now and about forced entry. All right? I want to know, do we know if this door was locked or what? Because the door is torn up. I've blown up several pictures. And the floor, the door is torn, that part is torn up, even on the day that they discovered it. That door, I looked at enough pictures to make sure it wasn't Photoshop. And that door was with the police in the picture. That lock was broken. So where are we with that? What's up with that? Huh? What you got to say about that, huh? Robin, Mick, Audrey, Carly, Stephanie, what y'all got to say about this door being torn up? Huh? What y'all got to say? Laura Smith, what you got to say about this lock being torn on this door? Huh? You welcome. Much love to Laura Smith. All right, much love to Laura. Okay, Robin said it was open at 8 a.m. Is that the back sliding door? Because that door was torn up. I have pictures on a slide where the police were standing by the door and it's torn up. On the day that they showed up and were looking around, that door was like that. It was, let me see if I have another. I thought I had plenty of shots here. Maybe not. But if that's the case, that means that this is not, this, that means that this is not, they can't say it was no, they can't say that it was no forced entry. Because that would mean that they came in through the back and left through the front. That's what I'm trying to figure out, Carly. Shout out to Carly. I want to know, when was the door broken? And who put the bar stools behind it? Or was this how it was all the time? Or what? What's up? Because you see Audrey. Shout out to Audrey, Kate. Yeah, this door was torn up. So my question is, when was it torn up? And the night of the murders, were those stools down there? Did the police put them down there to keep people out of there? Or I'm trying to, how can we find out, Mick? How can we find out? Because they said no forced entry, but all right, I think the first story was right, Coos. I think both girls were ordered to the first floor. I don't even think Dylan saw Brian. Shout out to Robin. I had missed that. Okay. Okay. Where are we? I think this is to look the door from the outside back. You take it with you inside when you enter. Shout out to Tam. Now that's what I'm getting at. Well, the stools behind the stools to keep the door from being open. I would love to see if we can see a picture of that back door on a day before this happened. And we can see if we can get a close-up of that door before this happened. Did students break in to find out? Terry Butler, you getting ready to get your first brain. Brain for Terry. When they called all those people over or whatever, maybe people had already been in there trampling around. Okay, maybe the neighbors knew what went down as soon as it happened and they broke in to see. The only problem with that is they say the front door was left open until about 8 o'clock in the morning. But I mean, assuming the killer ran out the front door and left it open, somebody still could have broke in from the back after the fact. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it could be after the fact. After somebody shut the front door and word got out what happened, they could have broke in there to see what happened. We need a good picture that's authentic of that door before this happened. What is the likelihood that drunk people may not have locked any doors? First door and sliding door. All right, that's true. All right, shout out to Mick. That's true. I mean, if everybody was drinking, what's the likelihood that they were locking doors? Because remember, that guy on the body cam said, I just checked every room. He said that on body cam. I just checked every room. So, I mean, when you think about it, they're all over the house. They go wherever they want to in the house. And they say everybody knew the combination to the front door. Sorry, I'm Dutch, so my English is not perfect. I write English the way as I speak Dutch. Can be a little weird for others. Aww, much love, Tam. We love you, and we're going to learn Dutch now. You gave us a reason to start learning Dutch, so it'll be a two-way street. This ought to be fun. All right. Kathy Jean should be on video you showed earlier, the one with Kaylee, right? Shout out to Kathy Jean. That's right. All right, so where are we now? The officer in the body cam looks in the slider door at a big speaker. Maybe we can see that hard of the body cam with Kaylee. Right, we need to find it because I looked up a still from the Kaylee noise complaint video and the door looks intact. Shout out to Stephanie. We need to check it because it's possible. I don't know because I saw the officer bending down on a picture with the door shut and it was still like that. Okay, Kaylee noise complaint video. Let me write that down. Kaylee's noise complaint still. All right, I'm gonna look at the video and I'm gonna stop it at the moment myself. So I don't have to depend on somebody that froze it and whatnot. I'm gonna look at the body cam again on my own. Thank you, Stephanie. Because I would love to see how this lot looked. Because there are pictures right now. You can just look up the images on your phone of the 1122 crime scene. And you'll see it in several different ways on the images. Slider locks are always messing up. Shout out to Robin. Yeah, they are. And then we know that they wouldn't have those stools behind the door for no reason. If that lock worked, why do they need the stool? If the lock works, is what I'm saying. Why would they need the stool? Why would they need the stool? All right, Gina Desart. I'm wondering, did I even notice that you had become a member? Sometimes I have to look back in this chat and make sure I didn't overlook anybody. And I don't know if I said welcome to you or not. So let's stop and do that right now. Gina Desart became a member tonight. I may have missed it. All right, so there's your love right there, Gina. We got Gina and Cuse. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. These numbers change. There's so many numbers on this dashboard. It's a shame. And I just happened to see a 2 here. Now I was like, that's strange. How is that 2? And I went back and looked. So Gina, my apologies. I slipped. I gotta look at the chat more often. Y'all wouldn't even tell me. Nobody told me to say welcome to Gina. I'm gonna blame y'all. All right, so let's go back down because we have to investigate this door and make sure The sliding door handle is missing in the middle row. Thanks, honey. Keep up the great work. You're really making us look other places. Aw, thank you, Laura. Thank you. Also, the original story released was that Dylan was asleep along with Bethany on the first floor. Then it completely, let me give you a brain, and I have not even finished reading it. Cues, time for a brain. Oh, y'all got some competition. Miss Potts and Robin Latham, Artie Kate, Stephanie. Y'all think y'all hot stuff. Y'all got some competition. These are big thinkers here. Whoa. Let me read that again. Let me find it. Just that quick, talking foolishness and lost the thing. Also, the original story released was that Dylan was asleep along with Bethany on the first floor. Then it completely changed when people found out she was on the second floor. How do you get that wrong? I mean, shout out to you, Q's, because when the thing first happened and they gave their statements, that's one of the things that Ann Taylor is asking for right now. The transcripts of when they interviewed these girls. Because if they were putting that out at the beginning, that's what they told them. That they were on the first floor. That's what they told them. And then other people, students who claim to have some inside knowledge, they've been saying that they were both on the first floor. A lot of Idaho students are saying that. So maybe that's how it was, and it's just another strike against Dim's statement. Because remember, they did say in the beginning that everybody was on the first floor. So evidently that's what was in the statement. When did that change, you know? Going from the first floor asleep to right down the second floor in the middle of the action. Come on now. That's a good catch. That was a brilliant catch. Why was no one else picked that up? Shout out to Marion. We're trying, Marion. We're trying to keep up. We got some geniuses in here. We're trying to keep up. We're trying to keep up with them. I know I am. When did the door get broken? Okay, that's our big question for tonight. I think the first story was right, Hughes. I think both girls were ordered to the first floor. I think I read this before, but still, this is what we're saying. Right, Robin. The first floor is what was in all the papers for a week, at least a week. I mean, the narrative has been shaped just like Play-Doh. I think this is to lock the door from the outside lock. You take it with you inside when you enter. Now let's go down a little further. I looked up Idaho for Demetria, and it said targeted. Wow. Shout out to Laura. It said targeted. Wow. All right, let me make sure I've covered all my bases. I think I had another point here. I don't want to put the wrong thing up here. All right, I'm not sure what I did with my picture of Murphy. I'm not sure. It should be coming up now. All right. Now, I don't know. Let me see what happened to the dog. All right, one moment while I load this up. Okay, I'll get to your comments in just a second. And I didn't realize just how much of a friendship that Bethany and Dylan do have. I mean, going to get tattoos together is an intimate act. You don't do that with somebody that you were just roommates with and passing, and they had a life, a world, and you had yours. I mean, that was a friendship. All right, we love you. I love you too. Much love, Audrey. You guys are perfect. You are wonderful. Thank you. Much love right back coming to you. All right, the apocalypse. Hey, I'm late. All right, let's take a pause. Let's have a moment of silence for apocalypse. Making it to the live. Wow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'd put a lot more likes up if I could, but only one per person. Aww, shout out to Q-Spill. Such sweethearts tonight. So many kind words. Don't make me cry. All right. What don't these YouTube sleuths understand? There is no blood trail from the house. This was some kind of professional, maybe ritual, but definitely with police knowledge. Shout out to Gina, our new member, Mr. Stark. I think that's how you say it. All right, shout out to Gina. Gina D. That's what we'll call it. No blood trail. And then let's talk about that. Let's take a detour and talk about that since you brought it up. All right? No blood trail. That's what I forgot. Now, this is the part that I was thinking about, and it's actually about BK's car. All right? I think I have the picture here of that also. Okay, this is about BK's car. It said that no DNA was found in his car, and not only that, no evidence of cleaning his car. Now, I'm going to put this in the chat. Make sure you heard me right. They said no evidence of blood in the car, and also no evidence of cleaning agents like bleach or something inside the vehicle to where he tried to clean it. In other words, it was as dirty as it was on that body cam on the 15th. All right, they said no evidence of blood in the car, and also no evidence of cleaning. Now, what in the world? I ask you. All right, Tam, what about taking a shower after the massacre, knowing you have all the time in the world to clean up yourself and the home? Right, so are you saying, I'm trying to think about what that would mean, Tam. Are you saying that the person or people that did it shower in the home, or should have went home and showered? I'm a little confused on that, but I'm gonna give you a shout out for the post. I'm just trying to get what you're saying. You mean in the house or? All right, Micah Z, a crime of that degree would be blood trail somewhere. Shout out to Micah. So far, we're in agreement on that. And let's see. And couldn't have been wandering around the house because there was no blood on Murphy, right? Stephanie, a brain. Shout out to Stephanie. So since there was no, this is Micah Z. So since there's no blood trail, that tells me one thing, they stayed inside, which is why it took so long to call 911. A brain for Micah. Just coming at him one after the other. One after the other. They had 8 hours to take a shower. No at the house. DM heard water flowing, she said. Tony Grant. Shout out to Tony Grant for posting in the chat. Wow. Welcome, Tony. All right. Bodies afterwards in the house. Like when plumbing breaks in your house and the water comes through the ceiling, same thing. Ew. Shout out to Robin, I think. That's not good. Shower water coming through the ceiling. What a nightmare. Alicia Mary Lee. Shout out to Alicia. Good to see you. Welcome. Shout out to Leslie Vasquez. Oh, Leslie and Alicia. All right, Robin Latham. He said Xana and Ethan were put in the shower so there wasn't any blood on the rug when they let them stay in there, then move the bodies. Now, wait a minute. Didn't we see blood leaking down the wall outside of Xana and Ethan's room? I mean, honestly. Oh, a super sticker from Q's Bill. Thank you so much. Why would Brian wait all the way until Pennsylvania to clean the car? Wouldn't he do it sooner? All right, and I'm going to give you a brain for that. Because it is what it is. I mean, a month later. Don't forget to tack that on there. A month and a half later. Thank you so much, Q's Bill. Why would Brian wait all the way until Pennsylvania to clean the car? I mean, let's get serious. We're talking about how many weeks later? How many weeks later? And we saw how filthy his car was in Indiana. Absolutely filthy. And they said when they went inside, they didn't find blood and no evidence that he tried to clean the car. So it was just as dirty as it was when we saw it on the body cam, on the inside and out. And that makes sense. Because if he was this clean, freak, meticulous person, I think his car would be cleaner than what it was, because that was old dirt. That wasn't just from him driving for a week. Some of the dirt on that car had been there. I mean, that's just my opinion. All right, what do you think? Okay, about him cleaning his car. Because he said waiting to go to Pennsylvania is moot, which it is. It's ridiculous, really, to say that this guy is a criminology major. He's riding around with a boatload of evidence, and he waits until he lets his dad get in the car with him all over the evidence. And then, now they're saying they got DNA on the dad. Now, what sense does that make? He's so meticulous, but he didn't clean his car. And then he turned around and let his dad get in the car with on top of all of that evidence and get out the car and go in their house in Pennsylvania. Okay, doesn't that mean that Michael Kohberger had to get in there on top of a lot of different DNA where he let his dad get in that car and he didn't even have any kind of protection to keep him from, getting touch DNA himself? Okay. I don't believe they got Michael Kohberger's DNA out the trash. I believe they got it off of him when he was in that car. I believe they watched Michael Kohberger get out of that Hyundai somewhere on the road, go in the restaurant or go in the hotel or go in the gas station, and they went by and they swabbed that car. That's what I believe. I believe they had Mr. Michael Kohberger's DNA in Indiana from Indiana on, they had his DNA. Or whenever they actually realized that Brian was gone, he was no longer in Idaho or Washington, and he was on his way home. I believe they got Mr. Kohberger's DNA right there in Indiana. Same way they got it off the cigarette. All they had to do was wait for Mr. Kohberger to get out of his car, get out of the car on the passenger side, go in the gas station to pay for the gas or use the restroom, or whatever reason they get out, and somebody just passed by and swabbed it where he had just touched the handle. Just as simple as that. All right? I wrote the whole thing hard, too. You got to start at the beginning of my story. Okay, let me see what's going on here. All right? Micah Z. They should have checked all the drains in the house. Right, especially the drains, Micah. And Apocalypse. Has anyone seen the video by Neek Speaks called Conflict of Interest? They chronicle all the police harassment and strange behavior, etc. Pretty damning video. Shout out to Apocalypse and Micah. Yes, I've been hearing Neek Speaks for a minute now. I did catch some of it, but not all of it. That's why I don't want to speak on it, because they were like, you didn't even watch the whole thing. I'm going to get to it. So, you know, it's on the calendar. All right? All right, that's Apocalypse and Micah Z. All right, shout out to you, gentlemen. Now, during the nighttime police inspection, you can see in the living room window, inspector with a white suit has camera, and the floor next to the staircase, there's a pink sheet. Tony Grant. All right, shout out to Tony. And so let's read that again, so we can make sure I got it right. During the nighttime police inspection, you can see in the living room. She's talking about the forensics team. You can see in the living room window, the inspector with a white suit has a camera, and the floor next to the staircase, there's a pink sheet. Okay, we have to check that out. I know I will. And, you know, that'll go along with my investigation of this lock on this door. All right? Because just like the blood on the cabinet, the lock on the sliding glass door has not been completely vetted as far as I know. All right? So those are things that I'm still looking to be verified. And this would help us with this scenario right here. Okay? So something needs to be verified. All right, I wouldn't mind seeing the body cam and maybe kill two birds with one stone. I can see the door and through. Maybe I'll be able to see through the window and the door. All right, thank you, Tony. I'll be checking that out. All right, the blood came from the empty room. This is what I think. It's the same wall. Didn't Ethan's golf stick storage there? Okay, Tam. I'm not sure again. Okay. It came from the empty room. You're going to have to explain that, Tam. I got to learn some Dutch. I got a little app where you can learn languages real quick. I'm going to try it. All right? He just drove 2,000 miles. He cleaned it. Joe. Shout out to Joe. All right? He just drove 2,000 miles. Of course he's going to wash his cars. Bugs from every state stuck to the grill. You know? On the floor in front of the staircase. I think I did see that. Come to think of it, Tony. All right? I think I did see it. All right, maybe I think we need to go back to that. That's right, Q's Bill. That's right. We need to check that. We need to check that, because I mean that would answer like 3 different questions right there, and they paid. So I would question the officers and their statements. Micah Z. the apocalypse. He didn't do it. He was chosen as a scapegoat. Mick Winborn, BK didn't need to clean his car because if he's the responsible person, he wasn't in his car. Give Mick a brain. Okay, well, teach us then. Mick said if he did it, he didn't use his car. Duh. They didn't find anything, so he was on foot. Somebody said they saw him on the sidewalk, dressed in black with his head down. Somebody said they saw Brian Kohberger on the sidewalk. The guys, okay, they said the guys at the Benfield threw their drugs in the grass when they saw the police. They said when they came back the next day to find the drugs, they saw Brian Kohberger in Moscow going back to look at the scene, and he was still wearing all black with the hoodie over his head. This is what, I mean, this is just getting more and more outlandish. All right, that's crazy. But like, Mick, what an excellent point. Okay, this is where a lot of YouTubers, including myself, have been saying that they cannot rule Brian Kohberger out. It's what we're saying is, okay, maybe he did do it, but it didn't happen the way you said. That's what we're saying. We're saying that we haven't completely ruled him out, but you haven't completely ruled him in either. Because it's possible he was there in somebody else's car. Or he walked, his car was somewhere else. It could be that the car going in and out had an indirect role in what was going on. Or maybe everybody scattered. Thanks so much. Good to be here, friends. Much love to you, Alicia Mary. It's good to be here with you too. Just having a great discussion. I appreciate each and every one of you. Much love to Alicia Mary. All right. So if clearly he didn't use his car. What's the first thing they said Brian Kohberger said when he was arrested? One of the things they claim he said, I assume they have my GPS coordinates. He knew his car wasn't over there. He knew they didn't have his car. This is what they say he said. And then I heard some lady say it was a black box in his car that traced him from Blaine back to his apartment. There was no black box tracing nothing. I don't even believe that model car that he drives has that. I know they don't have Blue Link or whatever you call it that's in most of these cars where you can tell where it is regardless of a phone. I know they didn't put that in the Hyundai Elantra. Now I know it could be some other gadgets in the Hyundai that can trace it, but that's not one of them. And I proved that I went to the Hyundai website, and the Sonata and the Hyundai, I think, are cars that, they didn't put that in there. They discontinued putting it in a 215. All right, so we can squash that one. All right, and then there was another one that just slipped my mind. Wow. What was it? It was a good one. It was a good one. Okay, give me a minute. All right. Now, this is another thing I forgot to put up. One thing that the 3 male DNA one thing that the 3 DNA profiles that they did find on the property, one thing they do for defense is they proved that there was somebody else there to put the sheath. If it was multiple people in the house, okay, they could have put the sheath regardless of whose DNA is on it. There were other people in there that could have put it in the bed. I think that's what the 3 other profiles tell me. Okay, they had on gloves. So if somebody left a glove there, They didn't mean for their DNA to be there. So it's not saying this was a party house and they weren't worried about their DNA being around because they're in the house all the time. Well, why wear gloves? If somebody left a glove outside, dropped the glove, that means that we know that they were in a dogged rush to get out of that house. So we know right there that DM did not see anybody, twerking in the tulips, just passing by her, walking at a regular gait. We know that's a lie if somebody was running and dropped a glove on the way out. You saying people left all this stuff there. They left the sheets. They left a glove. Okay, well, Dylan said they just walked past her, twerking in the tulips. So they weren't in a rush. He just walked out the back door. So why would he drop something? Why would he leave something? According to Dylan, he was not in a rush. I'm just saying. It needs to make sense. Nobody that drops a glove outside of a crime scene was just walking by. That's why in one of my latest videos, I show him running to his car. Because nobody that just committed a quadruple murder or was there when somebody else did it is just walking. Even the people that didn't do it are going to run. That's common sense. All right, I wrote the whole thing, Hard Truth. You got to start at the beginning of my story. I'm going to just give you your shout out, Robin, because I know you're awesome. I already know that. So I'm going to give you a shout out, Robin, so I don't get lost in what I'm trying to say. Exactly, he waited until he was on vacation during the nighttime. But back to what I'm saying. They have a knife on the evidence list, a glove from the evidence list. They have a glove on the evidence list for his apartment. Like they're searching for the other glove. Well, it's in the yard. What are you looking for another glove for in his apartment? And you found one out there on the grass. And you didn't even send the glove that you did find to the lab to be tested. The glove that they found, if you look at the sheet, it asks if it was sent to the lab for testing, and the box is checked no. Huh? Now these are facts. These are facts that I'm stating right now. They never even sent the glove in to be tested that they did find. And that they said on body cam, why isn't anyone questioning that? Shout out to Leslie and Micah. I mean, these are facts, what I'm saying right now. And so now you're telling me let me tell you what's giving the prosecution the biggest problem in this case is DM's statement. The Bible said that the Lord will use foolishness to confound the wise. And sometimes the thing that you're using to do dirt is the same thing that'll get you in trouble. And this statement from DM is what's messing up the prosecution right now. It doesn't leave them any room to change their story. You got it in stone that is BK. It's based on Dylan's statement. You can't have any variance. You can't have a drop of variance in your statement. It's got to be 100%. And you don't have that. Dylan's statement insists that the murders took place between about 4:08 and 4:17, according to her statement. Because if she woke up at 4 o'clock, she said a little later on she heard this. So time passed by. So the killers didn't start until after 4:05, 4:06. And then she said he was leaving at 4:17. Some ring.com they claim they have. Honestly, It locks the murder in. The whole quadruple murder is locked into about 407 or 408 to about 416, 417. And that's unfortunate because they can't change that. It's all going by her statement. She ID'd the perp. So there's no going back from that. Another thing that messes her up is she said she woke up at 4 o'clock, but she forgot to mention the DoorDash driver. They had to tell us about that on the side. She said she woke up at 4 o'clock. She didn't mention hearing a car outside. She didn't mention a DoorDash delivery. She woke up at 4 o'clock. She didn't hear DoorDash. She heard what she said is Kaylee playing with her dog. The person who was just sleeping at 4 o'clock. If everybody was in their rooms by 4 o'clock and either sleep or they could have been asleep, it was quiet at 4 o'clock. And so now, 3 or 4 minutes later, all of a sudden, Kaylee is back up playing with a dog. This is Dylan's statement. This is what she's telling us. This is what they said she said. Because I haven't heard her say anything yet. But this is Dylan's statement. So the killer is limited to 8 or 9 minutes, according to Dylan. According to Dylan, he walked out. So there shouldn't be anything in the yard. Nobody should have dropped anything. The killer walked out. He had plenty of time and confidence. He had no reason. He wasn't nervous. He just strolled on out the door. He wasn't even in a rush. About to pull his phone out and see who texted him before he did this massacre. I mean, won't you just tell us to believe that? Somebody dropping a glove lets us know that somebody was getting up out of there. And we can see some people getting up out of there at about 3:12. We can see 4 people running right there in front of the house. But yet, according to Dylan, there was one perp and he strolled out the door. He didn't even bother to cover his hair. He just had on a COVID mask. According to Dylan. So there's no room to change what's going on. There's no room to change the story. There's no room. There's no room to change it. And it's so absurd. It's no room. You already said this is how it happened. And so if you can't prove that it happened exactly this way, the case is going to be thrown out. It's just a fact. And why, if there was no connection between Brian and all the girls, why are Brian and Ann Taylor trying to interview Bethany? If there was no connection between them, then it's like I said, Bethany knew something. Somebody knew where Bethany was. And they probably called and said, Bethany was over here, or Bethany was over there, or Bethany told us this. That's probably what happened. Because if there's no connection between Brian and any of the victims, then why are they asking for Bethany? Why? It has to make sense. It needs to make sense. All right? Okay. So I want to cover one more point. You all are absolutely marvelous. I really appreciate you coming out and spending your time. This is awesome. Tony Grant, prime suspect, DM failure to report crime and released. Usually even children would be suspect. Anybody. Shout out to Tony. Anybody. Everybody. And they were, that's why they were sneaking around trying to get, take different DNA. Or so they claim. It's no way to change it, Q's. Shout out to Q's. You done locked it in stone that this foolishness happened. And so if the jury doesn't believe it, it's over. And there's no variation that you can bring out besides just saying yourself that you don't believe your own witness and then changing your story. That's the only thing you can do at this point. Because you locked in at something that the time is so tight until all Brian got to do is prove that he was somewhere, you know, or where he wasn't or whatever, and it's over. Okay, if you can't stick him there, you can't even bring your DNA evidence in. If you can't stick that man in that house, it's over. How can we believe Dylan's statement about the perpetrator and she didn't even call 911? That's a problem. Dylan is a problem for the prosecution. She's the star witness and she's the star problem because she didn't call 911. How you gonna put her on the stand? Okay, you saw all this, miss, but you didn't call 911 for hours. But you telling us you knew something went down. All 4 victims were Google searched a bunch of times between July and Halloween. Bethany and Dylan weren't. You know, it's scary. It really is. But we already talked about this being planned, professional, ritual. Okay, we might have to go back to ritual, to where we talked about the snuff film and planning. And what if everyone is paid actors for city and university to get money? And what if this never really happened? What if it's all just one big distraction? No disrespect at all. Boy, that would be scary. Shout out to Apocalypse and Micah. That'll be scary. That's a scary thought. That's a real scary thought. Because some people were even saying they never took the bodies out of the house. Oh my gosh, what about conspiracy theory? Okay, because a lot of people, their statements have been taken and archived. And there's no reason for us to archive what was said at the beginning of the case, because those are the fundamentals. In my opinion, the PCA is the fundamentals. This is what you told us the first day. I understand what's been said and what's popped up and what's going on social media the past 6 months. But I'm talking about what the police told us the day they burst into these people's home and took this man to jail. I want to understand what you told me that day. And then I'll go and try to understand maybe what you said after that. But I need to get that straight first. You know, it's just the way I think. Mick Winborn, we could just speculate without DM. Things that don't make sense just keeps everything going round and round. The real answer to the question is forgotten about. Shout out to Mick. We have to speculate around DM. I agree 100%. We have to speculate. A lot of people keep saying, well, Dylan said, or looking to see if whoever we're talking about has thick eyebrows. I don't believe Dylan's statement. So I don't research looking for somebody with thick eyebrows. I don't believe any of it. So I don't believe she woke up at 4 o'clock. I don't believe she went to sleep between 2 and 4 o'clock. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. She don't look like she ever go to sleep, if you ask me. I don't believe she was asleep at 4 o'clock. For all we know, she could have let the killers in. I'm not saying she did or didn't. I'm just saying some of it is just so far-fetched to I don't believe it. I don't believe you sitting there listening to your roommates whimper and you do nothing. I don't believe it. Because if that's true, you should have been charged. You sitting here telling me you heard somebody whimper and you never called the police? And that's supposed to be your friend you just took pictures with? And you sitting here telling me you heard Xana whimper and you didn't call police? That's a crime. Listen, morally, that's a crime. All right, shout out to Mick. Who was the last person? I got him all right. I got him. Yeah, we can figure it out, Robin. Shout out to Robin. Yeah, I heard that too, Apocalypse. Buccaneers is the skull and bone symbol with swords. I heard that too. Shout out to Robin and who was that talking about the swords? The Apocalypse. Apocalypse, you getting in with everybody. You bringing us some good stuff tonight. Wow. Tam, the news came after the bodies were moved. They closed the street for the public, they said. Yeah, they did. Shout out to Tam. Right? I know for those bodies to be in that house from the time of the murder until about 6, 7 o'clock that night is insane. And for her to say out of her own mouth that she heard people whimpering and saw somebody leave and didn't call the police. Dylan's statement is such a complete joke. I don't believe for a second that she went back to sleep either. Shout out to Q's. Justice. This happened at 3 and she did let them in. Shout out to Justice in the house. What's up, Justice? Okay. Now, Dylan was told what to say. Shout out to Robin. Agreed. I believe that law enforcement typed that statement out and Dylan signed it, probably didn't even read it. I really do. And that's sad because she's a young girl. It was a traumatic experience, whether she realized it or not. It might be funny now or just a spectacle now. But later on, she's going to realize that affected her, that she lived in the house with those girls and Ethan and had to see that happen. Sometimes we're traumatized and we don't realize it. So I feel sorry for her and Bethany, unless they had something to do with it. I feel sorry for them. Because whether they realize it or not, running and getting tattooed like it didn't affect you at all, I think later on they'll realize that was traumatic. That's not something that happens every day that you witness and just get up and walk away from it like it was nothing. All right, Apocalypse, the kickoff was televised that morning at 6. Tony Grant, and you don't hear that blood-curdling scream from a male voice in your house. Shout out to Apocalypse and Tony, because you know good and well everybody was screaming. Everybody was screaming. Anybody that got cut was screaming. At some point, unless they slept through the whole thing, somebody was screaming. I mean, you'll scream just because somebody is coming at you with a knife. Not just, screaming because you're being hurt. You scream just at somebody coming at you with a knife. That's enough right there. And then to see somebody you love being butchered, it's just not your turn yet. That's enough to make somebody scream. That's just wrong. She got that in exchange for jail for not calling 911. Robin, you get a brain. Brain for Robin Latham. All right. Let's see who we got. Lycurgus. Where's the doctor report that checked Brian afterward? He had a physical. If that really happened. Okay, shout out to Lycurgus for bringing up the doctor. Because they said he went to the doctor right after the murders, and you know the doctor would have been a millionaire now just by reporting that he had cuts or scratches on his body. I'm just saying. Is that Dylan's boyfriend's truck going by? He said he wasn't in Moscow until the next morning. Robin, you on a roll. What's going on? Tam, the Banfield footage, you hear exactly the same voices as the cam footage from the neighbors. All right? The victims were all Googled and picked by Halloween, and the murders happened right after Samhain, pagan occult holiday, the apocalypse. What did I do? Justice. Maddie was passed out. Kaylee walked into Xana. Heard Ethan woke up. Xana, let me out, let me up. Moaning. Who's that? Justice. All right. Shout out to Robin and Justice. Okay. So then DM friend said when they went to console hug Dylan the next morning, she giggled and said they were being silly. I heard that too. I heard that DM's demeanor after, who said that? Tony. Shout out to Tony. They said DM's demeanor after everything happened was very casual and nonchalant. That's what they said. That's not confirmed now, but that's what's going around. Also, that she was posting at 3:30. So if she was posting at 3 or 3:30, we know she was not asleep. That was the brain laundry, Gabby Petito case, then Summer Wells, now this. Yep. Shout out Micah Z. Justice, tripods, POP at 3, right? And see, that door looked broken. That could have been a prop. That broken handle on the door, if it's broken for real, that could have been a prop for the snuff film, right? That could have been for the a prop for the snuff film. Now, so where are we? Have we covered everything? Is there something else we need to talk about? Brett Capacaputo's tower dumps at 5:30 a.m. He leaked everything we needed. All right, shout out to Justice. BF and DM cars were not in the driveway. Did they leave before hit? Sherry. Shout out to Sherry. Now, I was hearing that Dylan and Bethany didn't have cars. Now, is that true or false? Is that true or false? That true or false? That would be a good Kahoot question. I know we're supposed to play the game tonight, but I don't know if how many people can play. I just don't know. I don't know. Kathy Jean, should there have been a lineup with others? It would be too late now because BK faces been everywhere. I don't believe a word Dylan said. Shout out to Kathy Jean. A lineup. I don't even think they had an interrogation before they arrested him. You know, that's what a lot of people have a problem with. That's used to the justice system, going by the book. Huh? Lies make money, truth doesn't. Let that sink in. You're right, Micah. They want to hear the dirty, grimy details of how this guy just massacred these girls, was in love with these girls, and how he's another Ted Bundy, and how he killed somebody in 3 or 4 other different states. And I mean, all of that sounds great, but if it's not true, look what you're doing to somebody. You destroying life number 5. Life number 5. We lost 4, and you're trying to make it 5. You need to be sure. And you shouldn't have to lie about every other piece of evidence. Yeah, that's some old folk speech. That's right, Debbie. People believe lies more than they believe the truth nowadays. Yeah, that's written in the text, and I believe in the Old and the New Testament. The Bible said that, people be turned over to believe their own lies after a while. You have a reprobate mind, and he said, I have them to believe their own lies. So, I mean, we're there now. Definitely there now. They do with it. All right. Shout out to Carly. Shout out to Carly Miles. I see you, Carly. For real, Debbie. Justice, the car honking, we hear that on the Banfield footage was that Bethany who left at 2:55. All right. Tam. Shout out to Tam. And guess what? 2:55, isn't that when the girls stopped using the phone? Maddie and Kaylee, isn't that when they stopped using the phone, 2:52? Shout out to Tam for bringing that time up. All right? That black truck, Justice, that's that black truck. Okay, some people said it was, some people said it wasn't. The black truck, it looks very much like the one. I know Dr. Thrifty used to have a video up where he was talking about that black truck, and I think he had figured out who it was. He had figured out who it was. Now, all right, that's something we need to investigate. The Apocalypse said the victims were all Googled and picked by Halloween. We need to get that Google evidence up. That's very important to this. This is something that I really, really think we need to investigate. Stuff like that door lock. It was a couple of things I wrote down. Maddie was passed out. Tony Grant, then DM friends said they went to, right, we saw that, okay. There was the Brian Laundry, Gabby Petito, we got that, all right. Where are we? Y'all out of gas? Y'all ready to call it quits? Robin Lathan, pick me. All right, Robin. Now, Where are we? Are y'all out of ideas? Let me see if I got all my questions asked. All right. Okay, we covered Kaylee, the possibility of Kaylee being pregnant. For those that came in late, we talked about the survey results. Most people believe that somebody gave the police Brian Kohberger's name. We talked about no evidence of Kohberger cleaning his car, no blood, but also no evidence of him cleaning the car with bleach or whatever. All right, I see some stuff about Jack D. Uh-huh. Let's see. The white car passing black truck is BK. Justice. Okay, you have to prove that. You have to prove that, Justice. Me too, Q's. Mike, I'm not sure. I think Justice knows everything. Yep. Brent Kopeka and Brian Kohberger were in the parking lot beside the home. This is what was posted according to what was supposed to be one of his sisters, but that hasn't been verified either. And I don't think that his sister would place her brother at this crime scene in a post unless she's dry snitching on her own brother. To post that your brother that's been arrested for quadruple murder, to post something saying he was behind the house with somebody else is dry snitching on your brother. You placing him at the scene to where they don't need a sheet. You saying he was there. That's dry snitching. All right, so the sister's saying that he and a security guard were behind the house has not been vetted. And I hope, maybe that's exactly how it happened. Because there's a strong possibility that he was in Moscow because we can't prove that he wasn't. At least not yet. I have something to say. Come on, Robin. Hard truth, I have something. Okay, come on. What is it? Come on, Robin. Pink sheet and LR roommates' cars, boyfriends, and frat. A pink sheet in the living room, roommates' cars. Pink sheet. Tony Grant. Pink sheet. Robin Latham, say it. We're waiting to hear it. Now, you might have to put it out there again. Maybe I missed it. Page 118 on Steiner. Okay, what is it, Justice? Brian Kohberger left Brent Kopeka. That's what the post said. But it hasn't been vetted, Justice. People can't just slap something on social media and then we take it as face value and as the gospel. And nobody has verified who posted it and whether it's true or not. We have to vet this stuff. In a thread, and I made a comment that is too crazy, Apocalypse. A girl went to hug her and Dylan said, that's weird. And they succeed at that, Micah Z. She's weird. They were there 100%. BK's sister's post. Justice, prove it. Prove it. Prove that his sister posted that. Prove it. What's a snuff film, Sherry? Shout out to Sherry. Let's go with that. The snuff film is when people plan to film a murder as it happens. Okay? I believe that if it was a snuff film, they filmed from the back. All the action was right there in that kitchen and then by the windows where you can see what's going on. All right, that's the red book box. That's 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 what the snuff film is, Sherry. If my brother did it, I'd report him. If I knew for a fact he was there, guess that's not dry snitching. Tony, that's not dry snitching to go to the police and say, I believe my brother did it. Okay, but to just post on social media that your brother was behind the house, that's dry snitching. But to go to the police and say, I believe my brother is a good suspect for this murder, that's not dry snitching, that's just telling it like it is. I mean, it is snitching, but it's straight up snitching. It's not dry snitching, that's straight up snitching. And it's not to say that you shouldn't tell, I'm just saying, it's snitching. It's not dry snitching, that's full-fledged snitching. But to go on a social media post where people don't know who wrote it, it's who could have wrote it, but we don't know who wrote it, and say these things and place your brother at the scene. If I didn't know whether my brother was guilty or innocent, or he told me he was innocent, and I'm taking his word for it, unless I, learn some things otherwise, there's no way in the world I would post anything at all about my brother until after the trial. I would keep my mouth shut if I have to tape it. All right, Steve Callan, shout out to Steve. Shout out to Steve. One of our favorites for giving us great posts. All right. Where were we? Red book box. Brian's Kohberger's sister didn't lie. Prove it, Justice. Prove it. Prove that she even said that. Prove that that's Brian Kohberger's sister's post. And we'll start from there. You have to prove that girl wrote that. You have to prove that one of his sisters wrote that. And when you do, then I address these things. It's the chicken before the egg. You have to prove that she posted that before you run with what she said. Anybody, the person playing Papa Rogers could have wrote that. We don't even know who Papa Rogers is. So how can you say that was Kohberger's sister unless she got on TV and you saw her say out of her own mouth that she wrote that post? You have to prove it. Opie and his brother Kyle were in the same division in the military as Kopaka. That's a big coincidence. That's almost too big of a coincidence to be a coincidence. That's a huge coincidence. Post by Steve. I mean, how many coincidences can we have? That they were overseas in the same unit. 82nd Battalion, I believe it was. And then I think they call it the killing machine or something, their unit. And that's just hearsay. That hasn't been vetted either. I'm just saying, this is stuff that I read, every day. You know that first officer that Ann is asking for the training records for. Okay, shout out to Robin. Okay, go on. We talked about that a little bit earlier too, right, Robin? We talked about that a little earlier too. She asking for the training records for the cop that was at the autopsy, and she's looking for training records for the person that interviewed Dylan and Bethany. She stated that specifically. So there's an officer on the hot seat. And we got Giglio. Honestly, I've seen so many white cars that match BKs and body cam footages. Shout out to Micah, and they're all different. The car that passed, but shout out to Micah. They're all different. The car that passes by behind the house is an older car. There's no way it's Brian's car, the one that's supposed to be returning to the scene at 9 o'clock. That is not Brian Kohberger's car. And that is not a 2015 Elantra. It's not. It is not. So, only thing we have to say that Brian went to that house at 9 o'clock or 9:30 is maybe a phone ping. They have to prove that because that's not his car. There were so many problems with his car and other things at the beginning of the case. That's what made it so hard for me to accept what's in the media. Brian's sister was there with a camcorder at 11:22 when Ann Taylor was there. That was weird. Shout out to Kathy G. That's critical information because Brian's sister Amanda is the one that liked to be in horror film. Remember my videos on the snuff? You watched that series. She's supposed to be an actress because the other girl is a journalist and she was working in Jersey. She wasn't running around being in movies. It's Amanda. And so for her to be there with a camcorder, I would love to see that in color or black and white. Yeah, I would love to see that, Kathy Jean. Absolutely love to see that. All right. Now, we're going on about 9:45, 10:45. Yeah, we're going on 3 hours here. We're going to have to slow it down. I'm going to call for the last 10 minutes of comments. Hi, okay, you got a fan, Justice. Tam said, I believe a lot you say. Who is AC and who is Aiden? Okay, see, Justice, you got a fan. She wants to know more about your evidence. All right, shout out to Justice and Tam. I'm calling for the last 10 minutes of comments. And we are going to start winding this down because people might have certainly have to get up in the morning and stuff. I don't know what time it is where you are, but where I am, it's 11:26. Okay, 19 minutes includes the walk. Okay, what you mean by the 19 minutes? All right, that wasn't his sister, Kathy Jean. I forgot her name, but yes, she looks a lot like his sister. Watch new Tubi movie about Snuff Unfriended. All right, let me write that down. Okay? You can all go on Google Trends and look up the names. Also, it looks like a bunch of whoever was searching them misspelled Goncalves for Goncalves. Both were searched. Shout out to Apocalypse. That's good information. Real good information. Tony Grant, I think they got more white cars at you than anywhere else. They had 22,000 or 19,000 or something close to that. How good is the cell phone service in that area? Maybe the pings are off depending on how close the towers are. Shout out to Mick. I don't think it's dependable at all if they have to say they have to be very close together for them to say that a couple of the pings are off, but the rest of them we can count on those. But this one here, the one that happened after the day after, disregard that one and disregard this. No, you can't do that. Either the pings are accurate or not. And that 27-mile radius, it's gonna be a problem. All right, Hard Truth, did you read my post? He's Portuguese, Apocalypse. I did read that. I thought I did. He's Portuguese. And that is Mr. G she's talking about. Oh, aha, wow. So he didn't answer because he was fooling around with another woman, Stephanie. Okay, I really don't know what's going on with that one. Lord have mercy, y'all got it going on in here. Sherry, hold on. Sherry said, Brian's sister did say he was acting weird and she went and checked his car. All right, has that been vetted? Shout out to Sherry. Has that been vetted? Do we have evidence of that? Because I've heard that too. Has it been proven? Does anybody have proof that Brian's sister said that? Does anybody have proof that Brian's sister said that? I don't think we have that yet. All right. I don't think we have that yet. I want to read chat back after you finish. Please don't take it down yet. The hard truth, Tam. Okay, Tam. I'm going to leave it open for a little while so you all can discuss. But I'm calling for the last 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes of the chat, and then I'm going to shut it down. All right, 10-minute call, 10-minute countdown. I want to tell you thank you so much for coming out tonight. Thank you for the new members, Jeannie Distruck and Q's. Welcome. Thank you for the super stickers. I appreciate everything. You guys are just absolutely magnificent. Magnificent. And I want to make sure that I let you know how much I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate each and every person that gave up until today. From the time the channel started in January to today. Everyone that made donations, bought stickers, thank you. Thank you for joining membership. Everybody that gifted a membership, thank you. Everybody that comes in the videos, gives a like, shares, and participates in the discussions, thank you. All right? I want to say thank you because you guys are the best. And I just look forward to us really having a good time. You know, even though the case itself is heartbreaking, that we can get together and discuss it and have our own discussion group like this. It's really a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing. And so I have to say thank you. All right, I know it's the end of the month. A lot of people have, obligations that are, if they're not due tomorrow, they'll be due Saturday. So I understand. All right, but I included my Cash App and PayPal. Anybody that can make a donation, that information is always on the community page. I don't like to have it all everywhere. I think it's pasted on each video if you open the information box. Okay, so you can go over there if you want to make a donation. And those of you that have already invested in the channel before today, I mean, thank you, thank you, thank you. Some are here, some are not. But thank you to all donors up until today. Okay, whether it was your time or currency, thank you for investing in the channel. All right, now we're at the 10-minute call line. And I'm going to put my hearts up here first and say goodnight. Oh, and I forgot to say the merch store is supposed to be back up today. Maybe it will be around midnight, or maybe I have to call these people again and ask them what's up or whatever, but it's there. We finally got it right. All right, so look forward to being able to win some merch. look forward to being able to purchase some also. And if you haven't joined yet, think of becoming a member of the Hard Truth. The levels start, I think, at like $2, $2.99, and go up from there. And so, anybody that would love to come aboard, we welcome you. And good night.